Of course, we're still following developments in southern African country, Zimbabwe, where the army has taken control of the capital, Harare. There have been reports of explosions and a takeover of state-owned broadcaster, Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation.
Now, but the army has denied that it is a coup. Now, military spokesman Major General Moyo says that the military action is aimed at removing criminals within the presidency and that normalcy will be restored as soon as the army accomplishes its mission. Now, the military has also detained Finance Minister Ignatius Chombo, a leading member of the so-called G40 faction of the ruling ZANU-PF party led by Mugabe's wife, Grace, that has been vying to succeed Mugabe.
We wish to assure the nation that His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, Comrade R.G. Mugabe, and his family are safe and sound, and their security is guaranteed. We are only targeting criminals around him who are committing crimes that are causing social and economic suffering in the country in order to bring them to justice. As soon as we have accomplished our mission, we expect that the situation will return to normalcy. We wish to make it abundantly clear that this is not a military takeover of government. What the Zimbabwe Defense Forces is doing is to pacify a degenerating political, social, and economic situation in our country, which, if not addressed, may result in a violent conflict.
Wow.
Well,
okay.
Joining us via Skype from Belgium is a global affairs commentator, Colin Tumweke. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, okay, so General S.B. Moyo says it is not a coup, and he's emphasized that if it's not a coup, what is it that's going on in Zimbabwe presently?
Very interesting question. Well, it probably is a coup with a different name. And whatever that name is, I think is a smart one. Now, let me tell you what I think General Moyo appears to be doing. General Moyo is probably aware of the fact that coup is no longer fashionable in this day and age. He is very much aware of the fact that even as much as the Zimbabwean government is considered by all standards a dictatorship, that a coup may be a very unpopular thing. And that is perhaps the reason that they have decided to coat it up in the manner that they have done. But we are not kindergarten children. We do know that what has happened in Zimbabwe this morning is nothing but a coup.
Okay, because when the army decides to target criminals around the president and they're not sent by the president to target criminals, I know the international community won't buy this. But let's go back a little. The deposed former vice president Emerson Mnangagwa, he's said to have a lot of following in the military. He has been a strong ally of Robert Mugabe since the 80s. And a lot of analysts are beginning to say, from some comments we just got online recently, that he could be behind some of these ideas of the military coming up right now.
There is absolutely no doubt about that. As you know, he was deposed by Mugabe, and up until the point that he was sacked, he was actually seen as the heir apparent to the presidential throne of Zimbabwe. But recent events have made it very clear that one way or the other, the current First Lady, Grace Mugabe, is being positioned to take over after her husband. And so the former vice president thought that, there is no way he is going without a fight. Let us also recall that he's a very well connected individual within the military forces of Zimbabwe, and a rather popular one, even as popular as the president himself, but under the shadow of the president, whom everyone knows is a very, very dominant individual. So I believe that individual. So I believe that what we are seeing today, what is unfolding right now, is a consequence of his sacking.
And of course, it seems that Mugabe overstayed his welcome since 1980. What are the dangers if the Zimbabweans themselves are in support of this military intervention? Of course, the general has said they will leave when their mission is accomplished. I wonder what that mission is and how
we're
long it will
expecting
take.
elections next year.
Yeah, how long it will take for that mission to be accomplished.
Yes. He has said they will leave when their mission is accomplished. Very shortly, I will tell you what I understand that mission to be. But he also matched that statement up with a very stern warning to members of the security forces that they are expected to behave. Anyone who does not behave will find himself to be in very big trouble. That's one. Two, he also recalled all military officers, of course, which is typical in every coup, that their leave, those of them who were on leave, have forthwith been terminated, and they are all expected to return to the barracks. So when you look at everything around this operation, it has all the characteristics and hallmarks of a coup. Now, he has also told us that their goal, their mission, is essentially to bring to justice all the criminals, and I'm using his words here, all the criminals around the president and the presidency who have been causing untold, economic and social hardship to Zimbabwe. And once they have brought them to justice, after rounding them up, of course, their mission would have been accomplished, and then an election probably would take place, or the president, who appears to, be safe and sound, if we can believe what they said, may be handed back the power. Only God knows exactly what will happen thereafter.
All right. Now, you said earlier that the international communities obviously won't buy this idea of the fact that it's not a coup. And you also said that General Moyo and the others know that military coup, the way it is no longer fashionable and accepted in the 21st century, especially in 2017 on the African continent. Now, how will the African Union and other international bodies, the SADC and all of that, how will they take this? Because they too will be analyzing the situation.
Yes. Well, I think what we'll be seeing from the international community, the African Union, ECOWAS, United States, and the rest of the international players, will be a typical situation of speaking from both sides of their mouth. No one is going to come out from the international community to condemn the coup plotters. At least we expect that they are not going to do that, because they appear to be doing exactly what everybody wants to see happen in Zimbabwe. But people have, some individuals have now had the guts to stand up and do it. So one way or the other, they appear to be doing what they expect to have happened in Zimbabwe. But on the other hand, they can be seen to be, supporting the militarization of Zimbabwe. And so you will hear the typical call for calm, let us proceed with caution, and we are going to ensure that civilians are not in danger, and so on and so forth. But outright condemnation, I think is probably going to be hard. But behind the scene, I think what they will be doing is encouraging the military, those who have, seized power, as it were, at this moment, to hasten up whatever mission, whatever operation that they are into now, and ensure that civilian rule comes back to Zimbabwe.
Right.
I think they will be doing that behind the scenes, yes.
All right. Collins Nweke, thank you so much. Collins Nweke, of course, the Global Affairs Analyst. Thank you for joining us on the show this morning. Of course, what the AU does